Rampage is a video game that I played as a kid in arcades and also on Nintendo 64. It was a fun game that basically took the premise of human beings being transformed into gigantic monsters, a gorilla, a wolf, and some kind of Godzilla-looking thing. Then you smash buildings. That's it. That's it. That's the concept of the game. You go around and destroy cities. It was fun, it was simple, and I loved playing that game as a kid. Now we see that concept translated to the big screen. Sort of. This movie stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Naomi Harris. All of the ingredients to create a really fun movie here. In this movie, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson plays a former military man turned primatologist. He works at this wildlife sanctuary. He's really good friends with this gigantic albino ape called George. The company that's working on this mysterious genetic editing research, they're researching it in space. Something goes wrong, the space station collapses, and the research crashes on Earth. The research is highly radioactive, so when George and a couple of other animals come into contact with it, they change. Basically triple their size and gain a whole bunch of extra strength and agility and aggression. They go off to destroy the city, and it's up to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and his sweaty shirt to save us all. I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that most of you fine people out there have functioning brains. If it's true that you guys have some quality high-functioning brains, then I need you to take my advice on this one. Turn off those brains and leave them at home. Just leave them at home. Don't even bother bringing them to the movie theater. This is not that type of movie. If you actually bring your brain into this movie, well, odds are you're not going to have that much fun. There is some mindless entertainment to be had in a movie like this, with a premise like this, where really all we want to see is monsters destroying shit. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is so goddamn likable. I don't know what it is. He's always been a likable actor with a lot of charisma. Hell, the guy eats charisma with his cereal for breakfast. Granted, at this point in his career, we're not entirely sure that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is still human, but he still eats cereal, I'm assuming. And if he doesn't, he eats something that makes him sweat in a skin-tight shirt every movie. So he's got that working for him. His relationship with George, the gigantic albino ape in this movie, is probably the best thing about the movie. Easily the best bromance we've had since Anakin and Obi-Wan. Wait. You're really here for the monster action, right? I mean, that's why you're going to go see this movie. You're going to go see this movie because you want to see gigantic monsters destroying everything in sight. And if that's the case, then you came to this movie for the last act of the movie. Not gonna lie, the last 20 to 25 minutes of this movie is pretty much non-stop monster mayhem and destruction. And I can't lie, when it's going down, it's pretty entertaining. It's kind of badass. The CG is good. You can't help but watch it with a sad little grin on your face. Sad because you know that this is the sugary part of your brain that just wants mindless entertainment, and that's really all this movie has to offer. This is a big, dumb, stupid, pre-summer blockbuster about monsters. If you remember that going in, you might get some enjoyment out of this thing. Okay, so the whole big, dumb, stupid blockbuster thing, yeah, this is the part of the review where I talk about the dumb and stupid parts of that equation. Because there's no getting around it, and there's no hiding from the obvious fact that this movie is really, really dumb. This is probably one of the most idiotic screenplays that I've seen in a movie this year. Characters say and do really dumb things in really idiotic situations. Characters magically magic themselves out of scenarios where they most likely should have died, but they came up with the perfect whatever and the perfect thingamajigger and thought of the perfect anything at that moment to survive. Didn't even need me to tell you that there's illogical bullshit in this movie, so instead I'll focus on some of the deeper issues this one has. The over-reliance on exposition. Everything in this movie needs to be explained and spoon-fed to the audience. I'm not bitching about exposition itself. I mean, every movie has exposition, but the exposition in this movie, the way it's handled, it's really boring, it's really unnecessary, and it's really stupid. It's boring because characters have to spend minutes explaining a whole bunch of scientific techno-babble bullshit that the audience just doesn't care about. It's unnecessary because, again, you're trying to spoon-feed the audience like we're stupid. I'm like, dude, you're the ones that came up with the stupid movie. Don't blame this on us. And it's stupid because, again, this is the kind of movie where if you have to think about something more than 20 to 30 seconds, it's not going to make sense. So characters spend a lot of time explaining things really, really fast in the hopes that you're having so much fun that you won't sit there and think about what they just said and be like, well, wait a minute, that was actually kind of... What did that mean? You can't think with this movie. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You cannot think. Don't think for a second. If you think about anything that happens in this movie, particularly in the third act, you might walk out of this thing hating it. The thing that I walked out of this movie hating the most were the villains. I don't even know, like, what was their purpose in this movie? This brother and this sister, they're these two corporate hacks who are scheming and planning and doing stuff, and it's basically just an excuse so that we can get these monsters to Chicago so that they can wreck a whole bunch of shit. I'm just saying, I saw the movie, I spent hours thinking about it, and I'm like, wait, what purpose did they serve? I don't even really get what the point of them being in the movie is, or at least what the point was of it giving them so much screen time. Every time the movie reverted back to them, I lost interest and I got really bored, and every time someone in this movie needed to explain yet another thing to the audience, I got really bored. As a result, the pacing for this movie, especially in the first 2 acts, is kinda low-key. No, it's high-key, it's shit. But hey, if you can stomach it, and if you like looking at The Rock and him sweating in those skin-tight shirts, then hey, you're gonna get some fun out of this thing. It's entertaining, but in a forgettable kind of way. That's why Rampage is going where all average movies go, into the Fortress of Solitude. I can't go higher than average. If you do go see this movie, I would recommend you use somebody else's money. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel. Stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace!